Today, February 24th, 2026, Ukraine marks the 4th anniversary of Russia's full-scale invasion. President Zelenskyy used the occasion to declare that Vladimir Putin has failed to achieve any of his original war goals. He called it a triple failure for Russia, military, political and strategic, echoing French President Emmanuel Macron's assessment from last year. European leaders, including Macron, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz and several others, travelled to Kyiv in a show of solidarity, standing with Zelenskyy at a commemorative event. At the same time, Russia launched fresh missile and drone strikes on infrastructure in Zaporizhzhia region, knocking out power in several districts. The war has now entered its 5th year, with front lines largely frozen along roughly the same lines they have held for the past 18 months. It all started on February 24th, 2022, where Putin launched what he expected to be a lightning operation, capture Kyiv in days, topple the Ukrainian government, install a pro-Russian regime, and end NATO's eastward expansion. Russian forces attacked from 3 directions: north from Belarus toward Kyiv, east from Donbass, and south from Crimea. The plan assumed Ukrainian resistance would collapse quickly and that the West would be too divided to respond effectively. You may wonder why this did not go as planned. Putin fundamentally miscalculated 3 things. First, he underestimated Ukrainian national identity and the determination of its people and armed forces. Second, he overestimated the strength and readiness of the Russian military after years of corruption and poor leadership. Third, he completely misread the Western response. Instead of hesitation, the invasion triggered the strongest transatlantic unity since the Cold War, massive military aid to Ukraine, and unprecedented sanctions on Russia. 4 years later, Russia controls about 20% of Ukraine's territory, mostly in the east and south, but has paid an enormous price: hundreds of thousands of Russian soldiers killed or wounded, its economy reoriented toward a war footing, and its international standing shattered. The front lines are largely static. Russia continues slow, grinding advances in Donetsk at enormous human cost, using massed infantry and glide bombs. Ukraine is conducting deep strikes into Russian territory with drones and maintaining pressure on the Black Sea Fleet. Both sides are exhausted, but Russia still holds the initiative in terms of manpower and artillery volume, while Ukraine relies heavily on Western weapons and superior motivation. The human cost on the Ukrainian side is staggering. Millions displaced, birth rates collapsed, and an entire generation of young men either dead, wounded, or fighting. Demographically, Ukraine is shrinking in ways that will take decades to recover from. This has possible consequences. If the frozen front lines remain, we are heading toward a long war of attrition that neither side can easily win. Russia believes time is on its side because of its larger population and willingness to absorb losses. Ukraine believes Western support and Russian economic strain will eventually force Moscow to negotiate on better terms. For Europe, the war has already redrawn the security map. Finland and Sweden joined NATO, defence spending across the continent has surged, and the EU is slowly building its own defence industry. For the global order, it has accelerated the shift toward a multipolar world, with China, India and others hedging between East and West. One additional point that often gets overlooked: this war has exposed the limits of conventional military power in the 21st century. Both sides have shown that modern technology, drones, satellites, precision strikes, and electronic warfare makes rapid conquest extremely difficult. The result is a brutal, slow war that destroys infrastructure and people, but rarely produces decisive breakthroughs. The anniversary comes at a moment of high uncertainty. With the United States under a new administration focused on ending the war quickly, pressure is growing on both Kyiv and Moscow to find a negotiated way out. Whether that happens through strength on the battlefield or through painful compromise will define not just Ukraine's future, but the security architecture of Europe for the next generation.